Green. Thank you. We have no action coming out of executive session, and so we have now reached the portion of the meeting where we welcome public participation. If you've signed up, please approach the podium. If you haven't signed up, feel free to address the board anyway. You have 2 minutes. It's not a conversation. Please speak directly into the microphone, and our board clerk, Mrs. Perna, will let you know when you're approaching the 2 minutes. So if there's anyone who would like to address the board at this point, please approach the podium. Okay. All right. Then we'll move along to the approval of minutes for March 8th. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Any corrections or additions to minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving minutes of March 8th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Which brings us to district happenings and Mrs. Heidecker.
So tonight's district happenings is George Washington Elementary School, and we took a look at how social emotional learning. I'm five, almost five. How social emotional learning looks at George Washington. But before I start the video, I wanted to mention sometimes things end up on the cutting room floor, and one thing that's not. Oh, poor Tom. I'm sorry.
He's
It'll
meditating.
get better. George Washington recently partnered with the city of Kingston to start a walking school bus. They already have a regular walking school bus, but this one brings kids to the Hodge Center after school. And they started it, they had 6 kids, and Megan told me at the end of the week they had 40 kids participating. So it's really great. And here is a little peek at GW.
Kindness is the beginning of our motto for George Washington School. It's all part of social and emotional learning. We have meditation and other more unique aspects that let students work together to take ownership of their classroom and provide calmness to them.
Take a deep breath in, let it out, please open your eyes.
George Washington Montessori School focuses on restorative justice using children working together to solve their own problems.
Last Friday, we heard a girl say she said something and I didn't really like it. And I wanted to go calm myself down. I went in the hallway and I sat down. I wrote, Dear Mary and Maria, I'm sorry for leaving. I got frustrated and I went to Miss Ames. I didn't like the girls asking me questions, so please forgive me.
As well as understanding physical boundaries.
Wow, hi! You know how we all have personal bubble? If you don't like when somebody goes in your personal bubble, you say, like I belong somewhere in charge of myself. And if you like when somebody that's your friend goes in your personal bubble, you don't say that. These girls. So we talk to each other and figure the things that we did wrong, and then we make up together and then work on it.
So that's our school. I don't know if you have any questions or you'd like to ask us anything. As you can see, the focus besides the the curriculum for PEACE and International PBIS is also about the importance of 4-year-olds. So those children, most of the children in the video were 4 and 5-year-olds until they got to the breathing in and breathing out yoga part. That was elementary. So it's really important for the 4-year-olds to have that good start. Gives them a good solid beginning. I don't know if you have any questions.
Yes, this is Jordan.
I remember you talked a little bit about the English language initiative you had going with the parents last year. I was
Yes.
wondering if you're still able to provide that,
Yes.
and if it's been expanded, or if it's just the same people who are still involved.
The instructors or the participants?
The parents.
The parents.
The parents that you were.
More parents are coming. It's growing. I think John also was in touch with the Ulster Literacy. They partnered with Ulster Literacy. And we have quite a few teachers as well who volunteer their time to come. But the parents are coming from everywhere. As a matter of fact, it's not just parents, they're people that we don't even know from the community. So it really is growing. And they bring their children, so there's a little babysitting service. And it's really very nice. And they have a room upstairs on the 2nd floor. And they're part of the school, so it's great.
Dr. Kobler.
Can you talk a little bit about how you integrated PBIS with kind of a Montessori philosophy around social and emotional development?
Sure. Well, we looked at the pieces of PBIS that were really, for instance, what are the parameters of what the expectations of what it would be like to walk in the hallway, what it would be like to use the bathroom, things like that. So the indicators, or I can't remember the name of it, maybe Bill does, but it's those key pieces of PBIS, and we really, Montessori and PBIS do a lot of the same things in that respect. So we meshed them together. The one thing that we did that was a little different was using our behavior reflection form, which puts the responsibility on the children to solve their problems. So they're able to use the piece rows, and if they have a concern with each other, they can fill out a behavior form, and they reflect on that, and they can make their decisions of what they should do better next time. They identify what they've done, how they feel about it, and what they could do better next time. So that part, I think, is a little different from PBIS, but really there's a lot of similarities within the differences. And I guess the biggest difference was the tangible or the recognitions. Montessori's not big on recognizing for behavior because it's more expected. So that was the hardest piece that we had. But I think we came to a really good compromise with that, and we made it work.
What's the compromise that you
We recognize it in our most difficult area, which I think is everybody's difficult area, the playground and recess. That's the challenge for many of us. And because it's a social time, and you're bringing a lot of different children together, 60, 70 children at a time. So we use that if the lunch monitors see a student who's making a good choice and doing the right thing with the levels of behavior that we have, they put them on what's called the Rose Garden, and they put their picture on a rose and put it on the wall to recognize their efforts.
And that's in the cafeteria?
It's in the cafeteria.
Playground space.
One of our teachers painted it on the ceiling. Not on the ceiling, on the top part. It's the ceiling to me because I'm small, but on the top part, and so pictures go up there. It's really sweet. It's very pretty.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Just one statement,
Yes,
board members.
absolutely.
Tomorrow at 3:30, GW will be cutting the ribbon on their new playground that was installed earlier this year. So it's our third new playground in elementary school, so if anyone wants to come, I'll be there. Val will.
I'm gonna do it? I think those scissors are bigger than I am. So, I don't know.
Okay, one more
I have one more question. You maybe think this. How's your garden?
How's the garden? Our head gardener's right here. How is the garden?
The garden is fantastic. We have all the garden plots filled in, and we put up some new fencing. One thing we would like to look at next winter is maybe working a little more closely with the snowplow teams, because they really do a lot of damage for us there. But I was out there today for about 3 hours with the children. We were fixing our raised beds And it was fun. The kids were hammering in. I got some really inexpensive wood from Herzog's. And the fourth graders were rebuilding the raised bed boxes and learning how to put nails in. And it's going to be beautiful this year. It's great. And we have Jordan Scruggs, who's involved with the church, who has one plot there, and she's helping to sort of get more of the community involved in the community garden as well.
So Cindy's our head gardener, and she's actually Tom's wife, so she runs the garden in her spare time, but now she's retired.
More spare time?
Yeah. And thanks to the Bruderhof, we just received a lovely donation of
Outlast.
Outlast. It's like for the children, for the playground, so that's really nice. So we have to do put the process through, but it was really very nice of them. That's great. It's great for the children.
Thank you very much. Dr. Taylor, will continue with the superintendent's report.
We had our budget hearing at 5:30, just to reiterate a few of those things. Would you like me to do it over again? Go over here.
Get those money, those slides.
These slides are. Thank you. Okay. A little repeat from this earlier this afternoon from our budget hearing. As everyone knows, our Kingston City School District budget vote will be May 16th. And on that ballot, there will be four things for our citizens to vote on. First is obviously the 2017-2018 budget. We will also be asking our voters to approve the use of capital reserve funds for the Mahar Elementary School renovation. We'll also be asking our voters to approve a shortening of the distance for our students, our K-8 students to be, our 6 through 8 students to be transported to the middle school. So our K-8s will all be down to a half mile for their transportation. And there are 3 seats for the Board of Education that are up for election this year. Let's talk about our budget. From our last meeting, obviously nothing has changed. We have our expenditures just under $170 million. Our revenues just a little over $67 million, and that leaves our balance with our tax levy of just a little over almost $102 million, which is at our tax levy limit. The tax levy limit, we'll talk about it more a little bit, but as I always said, not 2%, not a tax cap, it's a tax levy limit. It's a complicated calculation. It's different for every school district every year. Very rarely, almost never, is it 2%. The major components of our budget, what we spend our money on, it's no surprise, we spend our money on people. 75% of our budget is about labor costs, and that makes sense. We're a people business. We have teachers and administrators and support staff that work with our students. So the major components of our spending is about students. This has been one of those years where the budget has not been very exciting as a school district. For us, not seeing some of the increases in aid we've seen in the past, not seeing the reduction of the gap elimination adjustment where we realized some extra funds last year, we were able to add things. But the important piece for us is that we are able to take the things that we've been working on, the things that we really have focused on in the last 4 years, and continue to support them and maintain them. One of the things we do every fall is we sit down with people and have an early budget forum. And it seems early to have a budget forum in November, but that's really, budget is a 12-month-a-year process, and we like to get people in and talk to them about what they value. And our goal as a district is to balance the needs of our students with our community's values and their ability to pay. Looking at the tax levy limit, keeping below that tax levy limit is part of that. The other part of it is the value part, and what are the things that people value, and they tell us every year. I can tell you this is my 6th budget in the Kingston City School District, and every year we meet with parents, and every year the things they point to that they want to make sure we keep our advanced placement classes at our high school. We have more advanced placement classes than any school, and actually in several counties. Our music program, our arts program, our athletics program. So we really want those extracurriculars for the kids, and down at the bottom you see also our extracurriculars for our students. Over 140 clubs at our middle schools and at our high school. So the community, when they come, they say these are the things that we really value. So we work very hard to make sure that we can maintain those in our budget, and we were able to do that with this spending plan this year. Our P-TECH program, 48 students enrolled in our early college P-TECH program, is something that we strongly support. We're seeing great success for our students there. They did recently move from the Carnegie building back to the SUNY Ulster campus, and the SUNY Kingston, Uptown Kingston campus, and we're pleased with that. They kind of outgrew the Carnegie, but our students are showing great results there. Ulster BOCES, we hundreds of kids go to Ulster BOCES and take part in the career technical programs. This is not the old BOCES. These are high-tech manufacturing jobs. These are our classes. These are aeronautics classes. These are really things that students are getting in there, getting their hands in, in there and doing things. And we've seen great success with that too. Every time I go over there, I'm more impressed each time. Our Alcoa School to Work partnership continues. More hands-on, more really project-based learning for our students that lead to skills that will get them jobs when they walk out of Kingston High School. So we're pleased to continue to support that Alcoa, continue to work with Alcoa and be able to support that program for this budget. Things we identified last year as a board that were important: social emotional supports, commitment to technology, special education, and appropriate class sizes. We've been identifying those for the last three years or so. And this budget allows us to keep those, meet those things, continue to happen. Our social emotional support, social workers, psychologists, and counselors at the middle school and high school is where we really focused last year. We talk about our need to meet our students' needs, our social emotional needs, before we can see the improvements that we need to see in the academics. And we recognize that, and we really are seeing the results from that. So we continue to be able to support those positions. Technology, we're very pleased with our advancements in technology. We're seeing some great things happening. We're getting closer to that ratio we want to see with handheld devices for students. And we really see, as you look up here, one of these in every one of our classrooms. And beyond the hardware, the things that our students are able to access through our programs and things that we do here is phenomenal. So we're really pleased with our team and what they're able to do, both instructionally and as far as our data team being able to give us the information that we need every day to help our teachers do their jobs. So the commitment to technology continues through this budget. Special ed supports, one of our areas of where we focused on, we've been talking about for years. We want to continue that focus. The inclusion classes at the elementary school, we will be able to continue to roll with that model. Looking at our graduation rate at Kingston High School, we see some of the things that we're investing really coming back and paying off for us. So being able to continue that support is important, and we're able to do that. Appropriate class sizes. The board has been very clear about our expectations for K1 and 2. 22 students or fewer in every grade. We've been able to maintain that for the last 3 years. We will maintain that this year as well. So the budget isn't exciting. There's no great new programs, but it is exciting to us because we are able to keep the programs that we know are having an impact on student achievement and moving us in directions that we want to go. So we're pleased with where the budget is. Would we like more? Absolutely, of course. There are some things we would like to add to continue to support these initiatives. But we are able to maintain them, and we'll hope for better results next year when it comes to the state aid. Our summary by functional area, again, just shows you our major areas within the budget, the spending there, and the percentage of increase, the totals, our total expenditures. Tax levy limit, again, balance the needs of our students with our community's values and their ability to pay. We've been very cognizant of the tax levy. We have never been over the tax levy. In fact, it's only twice in 6 years. This might be my 6th budget. Like I said, this only twice being at the tax levy limit, and both of those times were times when the tax levy limit was extremely low. 1.51 back in 14-15, and this year 1.35. So, just to prove my point, I said it's a different calculation. It's different for every district, different every year, and it's almost never 2. There's not a 2 on there. We've never been 2%. We've been above, we've been below, but we've never been right at that 2%. This has been a responsible board and fiscally responsible and responsible community, staying at or below that tax levy limit. Actually, the rate for the first 5 years here, we're below the tax levy limit by more than 1% as an average. Proposition 2 is to use our capital reserve to renovate Meagher Elementary School. The capital reserve is a reserve the board has, the community has voted to allow us to establish. We've established it, we've been able to put some money in there and save it, and we can only use that money for capital projects. That can't be used for other things in the district. So we have the money in the account, and we would like to use it to renovate Meagher, which will have 2 purposes, and I'll talk about both of them. First purpose is to increase our and really expand our UPK program into a pre-K program in conjunction with our UPK providers, the privates that are out in our community. Our UPK providers will continue to get the flow-through money from the UPK grant that we get from New York State. They will continue to serve the students that they're serving, and we will be targeting the students who are not enrolled in the UPK programs that our community providers provide. Research shows us students who receive high-quality pre-K are more successful when they get into kindergarten and beyond. We know that, and we see it because we have many students who are receiving high-quality pre-K out with our community partners, and so we know this. So we want to make sure we get our arms around as many 4-year-olds in the Kingston City School District as we possibly can. Renovating Meagher Elementary will allow us to do that, giving us four brand new renovated classrooms with the possibility to expand to 6. Return on investment, again, research shows us there's a return on investment for the students who have high quality pre-K, not only now, but into the future. Students who get high quality pre-K are more likely to graduate. Students who are more likely to graduate, again, are more likely to have a lower impact on the community as far as expenses. So the Meagher plan, the other piece of it. The other piece of the Meagher plan would be to move the central office, the administration here, out of Sione and into the Meagher Elementary School. So taking that building and making it a pre-K center as well as our administrative offices. So we would move out of Sione, put Sione up for sale, and move in there and be able to put, not only will we put this up for sale and sell it, there will be huge impacts for us there. The first impact is we will be able to put this back on the tax rolls. The second impact will be, it will be really an economic driver here for the community in Uptown Kingston, and we'll be able to avoid spending $3 million in repairs here at Sione. So we can go to Meagher, put about $4.3 million out of our reserves at no impact to the local taxpayers into that building, minus, let's say, $1 million for the sale of Crown Street, and another $500,000 really for state aid that we will get for the pre-K classrooms. And we will be spending about the same amount of money to renovate Meagher and have all the benefits that I mentioned. Or we could stay here, have none of the benefits that I mentioned, and spend the same amount of money. So we think this is a win-win. It's a win for our school district, it's a win for the 4-year-olds, it's a win for the county, it's a win for the taxpayers, it's a win for the city. We can't see, I can see very little downside here again, and no impact on the local taxpayers. Some of the things we have to do here at Crown Street, the $3 million, I won't read the whole list for you, but we have about $3 million worth of work here to do. So again, avoiding that repair and gaining all those things we gained in the moving over to Meagher. Lastly, we have 3 open seats for the Board of Election. These 3 seats are 3-year terms. There are 5 candidates running, and I invite everyone to come on May 9th at Kingston High School at 6:30 for our Meet the Candidates night. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions of our candidates, and we will be helped by our parent group, our Kingston parent group, and moderated by the League of Women Voters. So we're pleased to be able to put that on and invite people to come and really get to know the people who are running for the Board of Education. Many of these dates have passed, but several have not. So we meet the candidates tonight, and the most important date of all, budget vote May 16th. Any questions? I know you've heard that twice in the span of 2 hours, so. Thank you. Lastly, we have Mr. Clapper, Kingston High School Second Century Project, and whatever else he would like to share.
Hello, everyone. See this thing turns on? Big button. That's you. Where's my tech guy? Yay! So, as always, we're going to start with the project. We are, the Nichiha, I have to say that every meeting, is completed all the way around the east wing and west wing. And, goodness. Hey, crap. There he is. And the second piece of material is the aluminum looking material around the edge. So this is all that's left of the red stuff, and the silver pieces are all done on both sides on the bump outs. This is the first floor of the east wing. Everything's in, lights are in, all the services are done. They're just putting the finishing touches on. We're going to do a punch list starting on what's next Wednesday? May 10th. May 10th is the punch list start. It'll be by floor, and by the end of May, the east building will be done, and we'll be into the west building. All the plumbing and paraphernalia for the science rooms are done. We have all the state mandated equipment. We have eye washes, showers, draft hoods, fire blankets. We had to decide on which fire blanket, if that was today, which fire blanket we're going to be using. Every bathroom group has a drinking fountain and bottle fill station, all lead free with lead filters on them, so we moved into that arena. This is a good little sign. So we've turned on the HVAC. They're doing testing and balancing. Every space has so much air that they want to go in, and to be very efficient. This process takes, for the east wing, it's going to take roughly about 6 or 8 weeks to get it perfect. Once they get done with the heat side and the air side, the chiller will be turned on May 15th, is a Monday, and then they'll do the water side and do the cooling. All the classrooms, office spaces, science rooms, every room in the building is air conditioned at the end of the day in the learning center, including the existing Salzman will be when that's completed. I tried to do this as a video, but it came out as a picture. As I was taking that picture, music started coming out of the speakers because they've got all the PA system started today, and it's all up and running now. And they were playing WPDH. And it was I'm trying to think of the name of the song now, but I can't. But anyway, at the end of every hall, there's larger classrooms, and at the end, they have this colored glass panel at the end of the hall before the staircases. All of those have been installed on the east wing. This is a typical classroom on the east wing. It's all complete except for a few ceiling tiles. There's a little bit more cabling to be run. There was a question by the KTF staff. We've had several walkthroughs, and there was a whiteboard over the teaching center. And it was decided that it would be better if they had it in front of the classroom. So we adjusted all the whiteboards around it at the request of the teachers. Every room has shelving in it. That's typical of all the regular classrooms. And that's not it. They have that shelving. And then by the door, they have what they call wardrobes. And inside, there's places for coats to be hung and all those types of things. So there's plenty of storage in every one of the classrooms. This is the carpet in the auxiliary offices off the assistant principal's offices. This is also in the east wing. This is a look through from the principal's office into the receptionist area. And that is what the receptionist area looks like in all the office suites. We go over to the west side. This is the first floor of the west side. It's the least finished space. They have about 8 to 10 weeks to finish this. They're down to basically ceilings and floors and some minor other repairs. This is the next floor up. As you can see, we start at the top, we work our way down. All the ceiling tiles are installed. Everything's painted, door jambs are in, tiling in the hallway is started. And where you don't see the tile is the lockers, and the lockers are coming next week. And they'll start installing lockers. This is a typical teacher's room, prep room, mailboxes, lots of cabinetry. And this is an interesting picture. You're actually looking vertically to that square. That was the staircase on the east side of Salzman that we ripped out to accommodate bigger classrooms and the hallway at the end of the project. And we needed to take that staircase out now and open up the new staircase on the east wing for egress so that we could finish the plumbing and the heating pipes that go through. You can see a little bit of the conduit in the corner to feed the new wings. The water is on right now on the east wing, and they're doing the testing and all of that. So all the bathrooms work, all the fixtures in the science rooms are all up and running on the east wing. In other news, this is the boiler room at Maine. That's the pad for the new boilers. We met there today with the contractor. Stefan is with BBL. He's a newly appointed project manager. He's been working with Robin for the last 2 years with us, and they gave him his own project, and he's doing Maine Mechanical this summer. The guys on the other side are the architects, and the guy in the blue shirt is from CD String. We're discussing where the boilers are going. That's actually the pad for the boiler, and all the pipes that have to be removed to accommodate that. Over at the field house, which is the other project that's going on, we have 3 major projects this summer going on at the high school. Is the second phase of the field house will be out of the field house. It'll be 100% this year. This crew is actually digging along the foundation because there's a sidewalk that goes the entire length of the west side of the building. And the man left over in the corner, what they're doing now is cleaning the brick. They're going to clean all the brick, repoint it, give the whole building a facelift. So that's what's happening at the field house. And in other news, we're just patching a lot of blacktop, rebuilding a bunch of catch basins. This is Todd and Darrell from my crew up at Balin. We're looking at this year, hopefully that we blacktop that road in its entirety. We have some numbers in from OGS, state bid, and we're looking at that now. And this is Mike DeAngelis, our electrician, and he's working on the new pump set over at George Washington, which is 100% operational. This picture is about 2 weeks old. But I wish I got the look on his face when he opened that. He said, "Oh God, look at all this stuff in here." But it works perfectly. It runs very well. And there's a lot of other things happening on in the district, but I was out a little bit last week, so it's an abbreviated show. I would like to finish, though. As I've said at this podium many times, I am very proud to be part of the Kingston School District community, and I thank everybody for their support in this last week. I can't tell you the amount of people that called me or texted me, and I'm very proud to be a part of all of this, and I thank you very much. Any questions?
I guess I just have a comment. I did do a tour last week, and I was very impressed. The classrooms are huge.
Right.
And I do like that the guidance counselors will be on the same floor. It's just great. It's amazing.
I think that's one of the nicest features. I mean, the classrooms are big and well lit, and there's a lot of nice features. But the office suites, there's a lot of private space for meetings with parents, and everybody has their own space. It's
nice.
It's a really nice area. Yeah.
I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Well, thank you very much. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. Are there any resolutions any trustee would like to pull from the consent agenda? Dr. Schroeder.
E110 and
83. Okay. Anybody else?
B114.
Okay. Anybody else? Hearing nobody. I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda minus 110, BOE 83, and B 114.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Do you have another one?
No, I'm sorry.
We were going to vote on a motion to accept the consent agenda minus the resolutions that were closed. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of consent agenda minus the listed resolutions, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. All right, so we'll start with B 110. I'll entertain a motion to accept B 110. Okay, second. All right, discussion.
So I just wanted a little bit more detail on this, what's precipitating this, and there actually wasn't a dollar figure that I could see on it. Are they on it? Maybe from the-
Educational services.
Yeah, Mr. Bruce, do you want to give a little?
Sure. Thank you. In working with Mr. LaForester, we would like to. In working with Mr. LaForester, we'd like to promote, or moving forward with an agency education to conduct this education service analysis with Futures Education of New York. At this point in time, with the systems that have been put in place, again, providing least restrictive environment programs for our students and through opportunities that we've put together, and also with recognizing our recent improvements in graduation rates with special education students. We'd like to work with Futures Education to come in and partner with us. There are special education experts that fully support, come in and look at the systems that have been put in place, and essentially do an analysis. It would take about 10 weeks, and to look at systems that are currently operational in place, and then provide recommendations to us. So at this point in time, we've had 2 or 3 conferences with both the executive director and the vice president. The cost of the project is $24,500. I do want to point out, though, that in our conversations, this particular group has worked with over 300 schools nationwide, about approximately 30 schools here in New York. And all but 2 of the schools that they've worked with, they've been able to identify cost avoidance exceeding the cost of the analysis. So we do feel, though it is a significant amount of money, that we do believe through this effort that we'll be able to move forward and even see additional efficiencies.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment. I read the proposal. I was amazed at the price, $24,500, because I thought that was extremely reasonable for what they say they're going to do.
And they have many references, but I have some non-listed references that I was able to communicate with and work with them, and I heard no one that I've spoken to, this is my colleagues, as anything but high praise for the work they've done with their districts.
Okay, Dr. Chacobas, and then Mrs. Jordan. Okay, go ahead.
I was actually going to ask you about references and if they were checked, because it looks great, but, just because somebody has all of these descriptors doesn't mean they're necessarily effective, so I'm happy to hear that. And I'm also happy that you're doing it, because I think that it will give much needed feedback to the district, because it's good to have fresh eyes look at it and see it. So I'm in support of it.
I guess my other question is that there was a lot in here about efficiency, but I just want to make sure that they'll also focus on effectiveness. And they talked about least restrictive environments, and they seem to be very focused on that there'll be least restrictive environments like as we move up. And I just want to make sure that they're also looking at how well we're doing what we do and that we're serving the kids the way that we're supposed to.
Absolutely. I mean, with the changes that have been put in place in special education in our district over the last few years, from co-teaching model, inclusion models, with identifying entrance and exit criteria. Same thing, we really want to see, you know, we're asking for the same types of feedback as we move forward. We believe with the board's approval tonight and working with the company, we'll be able to get this moving right away so that we can do most of this work before this school year even concludes, so that it will really help to drive goal setting in our action plans as we begin to transition to next school year.
Can I just add that one of the words that we keep repeating is partners. That's one of the things that they really sold us as being partners with the district, not coming in and they're having a keen eye, but it's more of an eye of just trying to find efficiencies and looking at coming on site, having some confidential interviews with different parties. We're also going to be looking at random IEPs and then looking at trends over 3 years, 3 to 5 years of IEPs to make sure that we are, you know, utilizing the leadership environment, that there's effectiveness over time with meeting our goals. We're going to review CSE minutes. We're also going to look at our out-of-district placements, our workload analysis for our providers, staff training, staff assignments. We're going to look at our 504 plans that we have and our RTI process, which is part of the process where students get the level of support, and sometimes when they need to have more support, they're recommended for special education services. They're going to look at our practices, our institutional practices, and just kind of see where we can tighten up and what we're doing well and where we need to improve. So I think it's going to be pretty comprehensive, and I think the impact of them being here, I think a day or maybe 2 days at the most, 2 or 3, is going to be minimal, and they're going to be able to glean a lot of information from our documents.
And all the data will be anonymous, I'm assuming, like all the IEPs will be professional numbers.
They're very, they mentioned confidentiality a number of times.
Oh, I just wanted to thank you for that additional explanation, both of you gentlemen, because when we got this, I guess the question that I was compelled to ask, especially for our taxpayers, was, you know, study for $24,000. And just to then reinforce the fact that this is something that we really need an outside agency to come in and look at, and then hopefully we will realize the costs, right? Just to, you know, make it boil down to simple terms, because I think people look at that figure, and I just want to be certain that, you know, they understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, again, just looking at the continuum of services across the board, we'll be looking at general education services, and then how that feeds in and connects to, you know, leads up to everything we're doing. And again, in the last year, specifically in the last year, and even longer, with the early intervention strategies that we've put in place, or programs that we've put in place, is really just looking at all of those, looking at the eligibility criteria for entrance into special education. So again, it's a significant amount of money, but there are so many moving parts through this. It's a complex, you know, part of our system. We feel it's a good opportunity at this point in time for, again, for some of the things that have been put into place to really kind of take a step back and bring somebody in to really help us, you know, assess all of that and check that, to be sure that we are going in the right direction, or maybe we need to, you know, assess, or maybe, you know, consider other. So again, it's a really a checkpoint for us to determine kind of next steps.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Michael.
Yeah, I know the cost might look significant today, but we're looking at for a long-term investment. We're going to see all the benefits down the road, and I think it's a good choice.
We spend close to $30 million a year on special education.
It costs $20,000 a year per student.
Right.
So.
Okay, anyone else? All right, all those in favor then, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, moving along to POE 83, I'll entertain a motion. We can do
B114.
Yeah, I know, right, the list in the different, you can do B114 first if you like, on the same page, so it's nearby. All right, take a look at B114, I'll entertain a motion.
So,
Thank you. Discussion.
So I asked that for this to be pulled because I was surprised this seems to be a new model for extracurricular activity clubs, additional new clubs where we have a club for every varsity sport, it seems. And what is the thinking behind that?
The thinking behind that is the management of some of the fundraising that had been managed in the past without any structure. So we have, for example, each of the teams has what we call a flash store. So you can go on the website and you can go and you can order Kingston High School basketball sweatshirts, and there's a certain percentage that goes back to the district for that. Instead of funneling them all into one varsity club and then trying to figure out who there's each of the varsity sports will have a club, and will be able to create their own club accounts to collect and keep track of that money and make sure they can spend that money on their sport. So there's no pay for the advisors in these. These are just clubs that are really working to make sure that they manage their own fundraising in that realm.
Any other questions? Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor then of B114, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. I'll entertain a motion now for DOE 83. Thank you. Discussion? Dr. Tobin.
So I just wanted to point out a few things and then ask a question about this. This is about the calendar. And I think it looks good. It's not as tight as we've had in past years. We've had a really early start date for a really late start date for Labor Day, and then we're reading for backing us up. So I count 181 student days with 2 half days that maybe you could add together to make 182. Is that right? But something that is different is that it doesn't look like we have half days at the end of the school year. So that's my question.
We have some new guidance out from the State Education Department around half days that we wanted to make sure we were in compliance. So we worked to eliminate the half days at the end of the year and replace them with one superintendent's conference day, but full days of school for the students.
Okay. So we usually we're kind of used to having 3 half days at the end of the school year. Do you think that has to happen?
Yes.
So this is different?
Yes.
Okay, as long as we know that.
Any further discussion?
I have a question.
Mrs. George and then Mr. Shaughnessy.
My question is that going to have an impact on contract?
I've worked with Ms. Nacarado to make an agreement around that, and at the end of the day, regulation overrules our contracts, so we wanted to make, but we were approaching it from that way. I wanted to make sure we were fair, and that's where the superintendent's conference day came in.
Right, so you just have an volume.
Mr. Shaughnessy.
Well, I didn't see a copy of it in this library, is that right?
It was put there, yes, and I sent an email, but it was later in the day, because it took
Later
that long.
today?
Yeah.
And I did change.
With the revision.
So anyway, so what I do want to know is the first give back day, snow day, is it the first Monday of the spring break or the second Monday?
It is the second Monday now.
Okay, well, I will vote against it in that case, because I think, oh, I'm sorry, what did you say? I've always thought that.
You were the reason for the change.
Good, thank you.
That's why I came so late.
All right, yes, any other question?
You were suggesting that.
Any other question? Comment?
Surprised?
All right, all those in favor of BOE 83, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Enthusiastic.
Opposed? Abstentions. Okay, and now, Ms. Guido, would you read the donations?
B118, whereas the King City School District is the recipient of a generous donation from the E.C. Meyer PTA in the amount of $300. Short and sweet.
Thank you very much. And that is singular vote, right?
Short and sweet, yeah. That's what I meant. One, not of the donation, but short and sweet.
Okay, thank you very much. The Board of Education held a coffee and a conversation. I don't recall the date off the top of my head. April 20th, and at the Uptown Cafe, and we had 3 trustees and 4 parents who attended. And I'm going to ask the trustees who are there, if they would like to summarize. I tend to be long-winded, I'm happy to do
Really?
it.
No, you don't. You are complete. She's thorough. Thorough, yes. But I'm not, so I will be happy to. A lot of what the conversation was about was congratulating the district on all its efforts in the early years that have gone on recently. And the concern was that we might need to pay attention to the high school needs of 10th, 11th, and 12th graders in terms of assisting all kids and all parents in navigating the college kind of preparation experience. Am I on the right track, Bill? Okay. And I actually sent an email to Robin and Mr. Verge, I'm sorry, Dr. Jacobowitz and Mr. Verge, because I think it's something the DNL committee can deal with in terms of professional development around guidance and what they can offer to parents specifically to keep them abreast of the kinds of, especially in terms of funding that a lot of youth require to go on to higher education. And it was felt that unless you had a child who previously went through the experience, you really weren't prepared, and that there were very unequal opportunities. So we all felt that it was really justified kind of concern and hope that we'll be able to improve it. That was the big message that I brought out of it. Mrs. Lott, was there something else that you, anything else was going on? That was pretty thorough.
Okay, thank you very much. And the facilities committee met this past Wednesday. No, I'm sorry.
One announcement. Monday, May 15th at 1:30 is the next and last coffee and conversation for this year. It's at Monkey Joe Roasting Company. And Ms. Jordan and Mr. Shaughnessy signed up for that one.
What time is that?
1:30.
1:30 p.m. Okay.
May 15th.
May 15th, Monday before the budget vote.
I may be late.
Maybe Joe's. 1:30. Okay. Facility, I'm sorry, no, facilities committee met this past Wednesday, and we have steering committee first, and then facilities committee. It was very brief, because we also conducted a tour of the construction in progress at the high school, in the academic towers. We didn't go into the field house this time. So I think there are a couple of trustees and Mrs. Parna who were not able to make that, and we were told that Wednesday is a good day, so if you want to arrange a tour for just a handful of people next Wednesday or May 24th, when we don't have a meeting, we do have a meeting, but we don't have a regular board meeting. We actually have a meeting to do the superintendent's evaluation. It's on the annotated calendar. So. I would be happy to do that. So just email Camille and we'll make arrangements for that if you would like to tour. Okay? The facilities committee only discussed the projects that were pending for the summer. So Mr. Clapper, Mr. Olson tried to fill us in and Ms. Cardenas in your absence, but do you have anything to add?
Well, I don't know what was discussed, but we,
Well, maybe Mr. Olson should do it again. You want to do it?
Oh, I'm sure Mr. Cloud.
So we're looking at stage lighting at Miller Middle School. The auditorium there needs in need of quite a bit of repair, but we're starting on the stage because there's also electrical panels in the old light panels that feed the rest of the school. So just like at Bailey last year, we have to replace those panels, replace the lighting. We're looking at blacktop at Bailey Middle School and up into Edson, that whole road area. At Graves, we're doing the ADA bathroom, and we have a price for doing the gym floor there because it's a hard floor, it's a high impact floor, and we're trying to put a softer floor down for the students there, a little bit safer. There's a few emergency doors that we're doing at Bailey also. And I'm trying to keep going off the top of my head, but that's what I've got right now. I know there's other things going on, but I just don't have them all.
Paving at Miller.
Oh, paving at
Paving
Miller,
at Miller.
paving at Miller's gonna be on there. It's this
No,
weekend.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And not to mention the high school project, which
And the
is.
high school project that we're
continuing
continuing now, right. There's also a few things potentially that we, depending on the vote, there's things that we have to do at Mahar. There's obviously a big project at the project. Like I've always said, there's a project inside the project. So before MJM comes down, we have to get everything out. We have to get everything out of Salzman that they're using for classrooms right now. They have to clean the rest of those buildings and have it all back and ready for students. So that's a big project in its own for our guys. So.
And while you're at it, can you clear out Mahar and another?
Well, that's what we're working on. And along those lines, there's some equipment that is being lent to the Bruderhof, and that is going to be moved next Friday. It's athletic equipment, and then right after that, we're going to have an auction for all that equipment. So that's also, going into the summer. Another thing that takes quite a bit of time to manage. So that's what we're doing.
Well, you do it very well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that was pretty much it for facilities, and then we went out on our tour, and it was quite enjoyable. We got to see the view from all those lovely big windows. I do not have on the agenda, but Mr. Michael, did the Deed Stadium Commission meet the day after the last meeting?
I know, somehow the last few months, it's always, the next meeting will be like May 18th, the day after our board meeting.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you. Which brings us to new business. And we have the Board of Ed meeting schedule, the draft schedule. Does everybody have their copies?
It's actually under new business, it's attached.
On the agenda, it's under new business. There's a new format for that, so you have to go to new business and then click.
why is the first meeting is on Thursday?
On the details.
First, well, go ahead, because it has to be in the first 10 days of July.
Oh, okay.
It has to be, and we thought with traveling, and if anybody wanted to go away for the 4th of July weekend, that maybe the Thursday might be a better day. This is tentative draft, I'm looking for some feedback before we actually have to adopt it. So if you want to review it and take a look, it doesn't, a lot of it does follow this year's calendar that we used, except for the Thursday start date, so.
We have to do it first 7 days of the month.
Right.
Within the first 7 days of the month, under state education department, all we have to have our first meeting. Review it. Only 6 days.
I'm on vacation.
Yeah, Tuesday would be the 4th.
Well, and that's another thing. How many of you will be around for that week of the 4th? Because we only need a quorum to have a meeting, but.
I'm away.
Probably the next week,
Okay.
but
I'm away.
Well, I'll be around, but I don't know if I'll be.
So, who won't be here that week?
July 4th.
Who will not be here the week of the 4th of July? Will not.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so we should have a quorum, so we won't worry about that.
Is Tuesday the holiday then?
Yeah,
How does that
Yes.
work with that long
Tuesday is the
weekend?
holiday.
So that's the only holiday people would get off is Tuesday the 4th.
We were just trying to be conscious of the fact that people maybe want to take a long,
Yeah,
you know,
that's understandable.
and that Monday, Tuesday, and then give people a travel day and,
Jordan?
Do you need a motion to, I mean,
No, we're not adopting it.
We're not adopting, we're just reviewing it.
Just reviewing it, giving me feedback, if there's something you don't like and I need to
Send
review
feedback
it.
to this department.
So this should be the 17th, 18th meeting schedule on the agenda. You have it, the heading for it is 16th, 17th.
under agenda.
I must have updated it since then, because mine says 17, 18.
Yeah, the document's right on the
On the
agenda.
On the agenda, I put it in wrong, okay.
Okay.
Um,
So feedback to.
And speaking of board meetings, my other question is, we have a meeting scheduled for, to be determined for the,
Where venue is.
yes, where would we like to have the retirement and tenure ceremony? We did not pick a building. The high school gets kind of hot.
But
So I didn't know if there was any
this is
suggestions.
next week in New England, next year. It'll be big
This will be
meeting.
the last year that we have to pick. That's right.
Are we talking about this year or next year?
No, next.
This school year.
This school year.
This school year,
Well, the high school right now, parking is very difficult.
yeah.
Miller, we know, has no lights, so I propose Bailey.
Well, I thought of Bailey, or actually GW has a large
That's true.
auditorium as well. So,
And it's cool.
and it's cool.
And it has a lot of parking.
That's why I thought of that, and there's a lot of parking there.
Okay.
And we always do it in the secondary school. The first time that I've been here, we've done it in elementary.
So that's good, GW? Okay, I'll check their calendar, make sure it can use it there.
Did you know?
Twilight Chambers? Co-op. Co-op Chambers.
There's a lot
Okay.
of parking.
All right. Okay, well, give your feedback to Mrs. Carter.
I think so.
Okay.
GW, that's
All right.
the consensus?
And, yeah.
James, co-op.
Any other new business? Any other new business?
But I do have one more item for that. Okay. It used to be an unstable all the time, but, save the date for the, NISBA convention, which is gonna be October 12th through 14th in Lake Placid this year.
That's where I'll be in July, so I'll scope out good places.
Okay. Any other new business? All right, board member announcements? Yes, Mrs. Lau.
I went to Cupcakes and Cabaret Saturday night at Hurley Reformed Church with Miller School. The kids did a great job along with their teachers. And I also, which I thought was very successful, I went 2 times actually, Dr. Catalina and Kate went this week to Chambers Court and talked to the senior citizens there about the budget. And I thought it was very good. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I have one announcement about May 24th, a reminder really. May 24th, we're meeting as a board, executive session only to discuss superintendent's evaluation, so.
That's regular time,
It's at
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, and it's an executive session, so there's nothing else on the,
So we won't come out to public. It's just
no,
that.
it's,
just that. Just that. The superintendent's evaluation will be available, were you able to get it up online?
yep, it is
Okay,
in
the
the
format
library.
will be available online. We're asking that, Ms. Carter will email it to you, but that you conclude it and return it no later than May 19th, because May 24th is really pushing it for her to compile everything. So if you have it on the 17th, please bring it, but no later than May 19th. It's absolute a consideration.
We fill out digitally, if we fill it out online?
It's a Word document.
That's much easier for you.
Yeah.
What is it titled to you?
It doesn't matter, because I have to pull it all together anyway.
Cut and paste, copy.
Yes. Cut and paste is nice.
What is it? What is it?
Superintendent evaluation.
Where is it now?
Let me just give you that here.
No, where's the?
Where's the document?
In the library. In the May 3rd packet. But I will email it for it to you, to make it easier for you to find it.
There's a PDF on there, so it's being worked out.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to, because this
You gotta-
is, so I'll email you the Word version.
Alrighty. So May 19th, out of consideration for Mrs. DePerna, would be the drop dead date. May
And I will start
17th,
by
and
May.
anytime before that, if you want to turn it in anytime before that. Dr. Finley is going to provide information for you as well. Okay? And any other board announcements? Yes.
Mr. Michael and I went to a workshop in Albany last week on restorative justice, and I had sent you all an email because it had a really good kind of compiled form that I thought was helpful. And one of the conversations I got into with one of the people from NISPA, they referred me to the woman who does the some of the advocacy work, because I think that it might be good for NISPA to advocate for training of teachers and administrators to include restorative practices if the state is going to adopt that model as something they want to work toward. And it also occurred to me during that training that it's really nothing new. Restorative practice is what many good teachers have done in their classrooms forever. And those kids don't get sent to the office because there are restorative practices in the classroom. So it just occurred to me sitting there listening to all this is what I know great teachers have done forever. And the fact that they're moving toward this model, it just seems that it would behoove training facilities and administrators and teachers to include that as part of their course curriculum. So she suggested that maybe we wanted to put in an amendment, or not an amendment, a resolution for the NISPA board, because they will advocate based on those priorities they said at the convention.
Did you note that in the library, there's
Yes, I
a
saw that.
resolution kit? And that's something that, is going to be wonderfully helpful to us. Usually we're waiting until towards the end of the summer to get what they've recommended, but the survey that was sent out earlier in the year, they've compiled the results, they have highlighted the ones they're going to work on, they have several resolutions up there, and have invited board members to local boards, to actually amend them, add wording to them prior to their printing the resolution guide for the convention. So please take a look at that, it's interesting. Anybody else? And thank you for that. Did you have anything to add, Mr. Michael? Restorative justice? About the conference room?
Yes, I understand. Mr. Jordan explained it very well. I would like to say that there were about 60 of us present at the workshop. About half of them there were board members, and the other half were superintendents or administrators. But the one thing I understood out of the whole, restorative justice, everything starts with the mental health of the child. And she said, a lot of teachers have been doing this through the ages. It's nothing new. You know what I mean? The prognosis of the child, I would say. You know what I mean? Where is he coming from? Or what is his environment? His background. And that's why teachers need to do some training to understand the mental health of the child first. Because if you don't know that, and if you don't know how to handle it, you're not going to be able to achieve the restorative justice. So mental health today is very important to a child or a student.
Agreed.
I would just also say that we talked about how much ahead we are from all of these school districts who some of the board members there said they're just starting to even discuss it. So congratulations to all of you, because I'm new here, but, you know, for being really right on the cutting edge.
It's good to hear. Mr. Shaughnessy.
Can someone who attended the conference at SUNY New Paltz 2 weeks ago give a brief report about that?
Would you like me to? Would you like to? So we attended, Reverend Charles was there. I was asked to speak, which was nice. I was honored to be able to ask to speak and sit on the panel. We had really most of the conversation, and kind of went way off the agenda. I think we got so bogged down in the not bogged down, but really so over enthused, I guess, with questions and answers, and then with the panel that they didn't move into we didn't even go near the afternoon parts of the agenda. So it was really several speakers and then some panelists and a lot of good conversation. I think what I got out of it, we were kind of the opposite in this one. We were kind of just starting, and a couple of New York City school leaders were there, talked about what they were doing in their schools, which I thought was interesting to hear, and learned a lot from what they're doing. So it was nice to have that opportunity to speak with them and to hear them. But we spent a lot of time on the speakers, and people had really good probing questions, and I think a lot of people were hungry to find out what's going on with restorative justice and what this means to us, and how can we implement it. While we're behind some of the schools in New York City, our colleagues from Ulster County who were there they're not even at the discussion point yet. So I think we are ahead. I was able to speak with some of my colleagues from Ulster County afterwards. We shared and also our code of conduct was shared at a meeting with all the attendees to see what we've done to change our code of conduct to bring a more restorative model. So learned a lot of things, and real practical things that they're doing in their schools, and kind of bring that back and for us to be part of our conversation. But I also met a couple of people who were really good resources. So that's those school leaders who I offered jobs here, but they didn't want to come. We've exchanged contacts and we'll be able to really tap into what they're doing. And it's different. The one school was very, really kind of with Fidelity was put in there, and they had a researcher from Australia who was in there helping them, implement the program. It was very, I don't want to say rigid because that's not really what it was, but it was really with Fidelity. And the other was kind of a more fluid use of restorative justice, and really, I think, very charismatic and caring leader was kind of used a lot of his own judgment in working with kids to implement restorative justice. So it was good. It was interesting, two different sides of it. Did I miss anything, Reverend?
No, I agree with you for the most part. But I felt that a lot of the schools in New York City, because they're so much different, they can do things that we really can't necessarily do the same way they do. Plus, they were not large schools. I mean, not that doesn't change the implementation of restorative justice, but they're small schools. It's a whole different beast. So we may learn a little from when I wasn't that impressed.
Well, it is true, and I said that when I was speaking. I said, we talk about when new people in New York City talk about their schools, and then we talk about our schools. You might as well be talking about two different planets. I mean, their regulations and things that they thought were very different from the rest of New York State. So they have very small, 200, 250 students, high schools, and they're allowed to do a lot of different things that. And they're just structured differently than the rest of the state.
And some of them were starter schools.
Right.
So they could hire people, I mean.
From scratch.
So I just wasn't impressed that it helped us that much.
All right, anybody else have an announcement to make? All right, and we've reached the second opportunity for public participation. If there's anyone who would like to address the board, please approach the podium. All right. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.